G'day battlers, and today we're going to be breaking down the Great League Remix meta in under 5 minutes. Now, Great League Remix is going to be running alongside the Halloween Cup Great League Edition, and I actually just put out a video on that as well, so you can check that out up there. It'll also be linked at the end of the video and in the pinned comment. So essentially, you can sort of watch both videos, see which meta sort of speaks to you more, and give that one a go. Or you can give them both a go, see which one you actually enjoy playing more, but both videos are going to be here for you to watch as well. But both metas will be running from October 22nd through to October 29th. Now, what is the Great League Remix format? Essentially, it is the Open Great League, but with 20 bans on the most popular Pokemon used by Ace trainers and above in the Go Battle League. Now, originally, Niantic sort of announced the bans as sort of a last season's big meta, but obviously the Max Out meta has changed everything, but they've luckily come in and updated the bans to be based on this current season. So I'm just going to speed run and sort of Poke-Rap through the 20 bans, and so there's going to be bans on Alolan Sandslash, Wigglytuff, Dugong, Marowak, Feraligatr, Azumarill, Jumpluff, Quagsire, Dunsparce, Gastrodon, Clodsire, Drapion, Superior, Ferrothorn, Mandibuzz, Greninja, Diggersby, Talonflame, Malamar, and Toxapex. Those 20 Pokemon are Gonski, Audi. Everything else in the Great League is eligible in this meta, so let's just take a look at it. And of course, if this content is useful to you, if you want to see meta videos like this in the future, do go ahead and subscribe so that the YouTube algorithm does sort of know to push it out to you. So with that said, let's get the screenshot for the thumbnail. There we go. Now we have the main sort of triangle meta on the graphic and some other picks down in the bottom right-hand corner, but this is a very simple meta. So at its core, we have the top group with the Fighters and the Mud Boys, so your Pangoro, Primeape, Machamp, as well as Whiscash, Swampert, and Golurk. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Steel types, the Tanks, the Bastiodon, Registeel, Steelix, and Galarian Stunfisk, and then in the bottom left corner, we have the Fairies, with Clefable, Galarian Weezing, Florges, and Whimsicott. And at its core, this is a very simple relationship, and that sort of makes sense in that we've just removed all of the Pokemon that make the current meta so neutral. We've taken out Clodsire, Feraligatr, Dunsparce, these Pokemon that make things very neutral and have a lot of Pokemon with a lot of play into each other. And so we're sort of back to this very basic breakdown of Fighter v Steel v Fairy v Fighter. And essentially that's how it breaks down. Now, obviously there is some sort of some level of backtrack where some Pokemon that an arrow is pointing towards still has play into its supposed counters. For example, Golurk actually has quite a bit of play into Galarian Weezing because you're doing super effective ground damage with your powerful Mud Slap attack, but Galarian Weezing is still able to do super effective Brutal Swing damage to you as the Golurk. So there's a lot of sort of tit-for-tat sort of play like that. Clefable also, I think, has some play into the Steelix. I think it actually has a win into, I can't remember if it's Shadow Steelix or regular Steelix, but like it has a bit of play into Steelix as well, especially with Steelix sort of running a bit of dragon move as well. Doesn't do too well into the Fairies, but I think it's interesting that Galarian Stunfisk has somehow sort of reared its head again. This is looking very last season meta in a lot of ways, but I think a few things worth pointing out. One is that Pangoro is the #1 ranked Pokemon in the meta, but because it is dark and fighting, it is going to be double super effective, taking double super effective damage from the Fairies, and so it feels very like you might want to go for one of the other Pokemon like Machamp that has a bit more play into the Fairies with the very powerful Stone Edge attack. You also have Registeel, I think is the premium Steel type, because not only do you have good matchups into the Fairies, you also have great matchups into the other Steels with Focus Blast, and Zap Cannon gives you a bit of an out against the Fighters as well to either do a lot of damage or nerf them for your future matchups. And then with the Fairies, Whimsicott and Clefable seem like the best two. Clefable very powerful and fast with Swift, and then Whimsicott having the access to the grass damage to hit the Mud Boys as well. So that's the meta in a nutshell. The Pokemon in the bottom right hand corner, we've got two dragons, Guzzlord and Hakamo'o. They're quite good neutral damage across the board, but obviously they are taking super effective damage from the Fairies, so they sort of slot in there. Hakamo'o is actually quite similar to the Fighters in a lot of ways because it does have some fighting damage up its sleeve. Carbink is around. It's a bit more, it has good matchups into the Fairies, but some weird matchups across the rest of the board. Like it actually loses to Machamp in the sort of straight 1-1 shield scenario. And then Alolan Marowak is around as well, who is one of the best neutralists because you have a super effective Bone Club for the Steels. You've got Ghost damage, Ghost typing, and good play into the Fighters, and also good play into the Fairies, especially Whimsicott with that Fire Spin damage as well. So in the nutshell, that is the Great League Remix meta. Let me know if you've got any comments, and of course check out the Halloween Cup video as well. And of course, thank you to my patrons and supporters on YouTube as well, because they are just lovely people and I really appreciate it. So with that said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially the subscribe one, and I will see you in the next video.